What is up, gamers? Today, your thirst has been satisfied by the 10-minute video clip posted by... And wait! Are those stat points? Hang on, I've gotta explain stat points real quick, because no one seems to know what they are. If you go into the stat build card on the Trello, you can see that there's a lot of different stat builds that you can take, namely the 4 stats. You have Magic Monkeys, Weapon Weaves, Fighting Fools, and Vitality versions. Basically, these 4 stats determine which things that you can use, aka magics, weapons, fighting styles, or... Yes, anyway, you can also combine multiple stats together to create a hybrid build, namely, all of these. The main thing here is, though, you don't want to split stats unequally, because that's a very bad idea. For example, if you want to go Conjurer, you don't want to put 40% of stats in magic, 40% stats in weapons, but also 20% of stats in fighting styles, because you want to use fighting styles. If you want to use fighting styles, go Savant, because if you want to be a Conjurer while also using fighting styles, hopeless. Anyways, the reason for this is because at Awakening, your attacks begin to hybrid scale, meaning they will begin scaling off of the 2 stats that you are awakening off of. For example, if you are a Conjurer, I'm using Conjurer a lot in this, but if you're a Conjurer, your weapon damage would start scaling off of magic stat as well. So then your weapons would deal equal damage to those who are actually pure weapons. So you won't be like dying a bunch at very high levels because they're doing like 5,000 more damage than you are. If you put stuff into fighting styles, while not being a fighting style based build, those fighting styles will deal very little damage because they will have no hybrid scaling, and you will lose out on a lot of other damage for your magic and weapons. So yeah, don't do that. Just put equally 2 stats in 2 stats for hybrid builds, or split it equally between 3 stats if you want to be a fan. Soleil over here, thank you Soleil, because you are very cool, epic. Anyways, I have a ton of random stuff that I have noticed over the videos, and I actually made a map. And according to Soleil, it's actually rather accurate for someone who just made it out of all of the random stuff in the background in the video, so I'm proud, hooray. We've got a lot of content to cover, so let's jump right into it. So first off, if you haven't noticed already, the Ravenna Island, at least the wilderness part, the theme is the same as the bronze grasslands from World of Magic, and I'll play it in the background if you just want to hear it a bit more, but it's pretty peaceful. I think it fits because, of course, it's the land of the bronze. The lore is building. We're gonna ingest all of it. Second, Ravenna is very large. Ravenna, from the bottom edge to the town of Razna, it's already as long as Riverfield to Ironport. That's how large it is. That's only, and that's 1 out of 3 towns, a castle, a mountain. Yeah, it's quite large. At around the 30-second mark, we can see that Soleil at Sailor's Lodge, and you can see this multiple times throughout the video. Soleil checks all of the deckhands, or the travelers that will become deckhands. I'm gonna assume it's because it's useful. You check their stat. If you have enough fame, you can get it. Otherwise, you just skip. If you see any deckhands around while playing AO, make sure to see if you can get them or not. Next, there is an NPC on Sailor's Lodge called Builder, and there's probably some other ones. I know there's one at Palo Town as well. These are the dudes who's gonna be building your ship stuff from the blueprints. We finally figured that out. Hooray, I'm not very smart. At the same area, there's also a strange sound. Sounds like the wind. It just goes... But yeah, I'm gonna play it over and over again. I have no idea what it is, but it sounds scary. And here, when Soleil is going to repair her ship, you can see that the ships are actually rather cheap. The sailboat is only 300 galleons, Caravel is 1,000, Ketch is only 3,000. If you remember from playing World of Magic, purely upgrading a sunken piece would also cost 3,000 crowns. I know the upgrading amount has been decreased by a lot, but they're rather cheap. Like, to think of it, you get like 100 crowns or 100 galleons per gunpowder barrel, and probably per sealed chest too. That's not a lot. It's not a lot of galleons. So ships are rather cheap, probably because repairing costs so much. You can see here, costs 300 to repair, and that's like every single time you go out, there's gonna be pirate ships and whatnot. So you probably have to repair every single time. So ships, large galleons sink. but the ships themselves don't actually cost that much. And then you can actually notice here, when Soleil repairs her ship, it actually goes up, and like that's a little feature that the ship slowly sinks the lower health it has. Yeah, cool feature. AO, immersiveness. Let's go. Here, when Soleil's about to get off to fight the funny little rival, you can see that Edward Kenton has went from the deserter to the exiled captain, and that's his second tier after you complete his upgrading quest at like level 65 or something. And then here you can see how large Arcane Odyssey's map is. So I'll put the map I drew up here too, and you can see that Sandfall Isle is 1,800 meters away from Ravenna, or at least Razna, which is about the same distance from Summerhold to Bronze Grassland. So that's already the entire height of the map. And you can see on my map here, it's not even halfway. Yeah, it's pretty large. Thank goodness we have ships. The cactus, they have prickly pears on them. Very tasty, and sadly, really hard to see what the food crate actually looks like, but seems like it's just your normal crate. The ship combat theme is fire. I cannot find the theme for it because I don't on YouTube or anything, but it's just really, really good. I really like it. And one interesting thing is whenever you go into ship combat, the opponent ship rings a bell. I also like how the song starts. It just matches it perfectly. Oh yes. Oh, the music. Oh my god, it's so good. Anyways, we can see here, if you watched a bit before, if you've watched the entire video, you might have noticed she sailed past the forest island that is pretty much in the middle of the Frostmail and the Jaws. And you can see here, she is 3,600 meters away from Razna. That's a long way, and Dawn Island is pretty much behind the Jaws, so the entire distance of the map, I would think it's around 4,500 meters, Arcane Odyssey's map. And that's 3 times, maybe, the length of World of Magic's current map. So much stuff to explore during release, so there's going to be a lot of content. And the Dark Seas, ooh! Look at the Trello a bunch. Then you might have seen the ultimate arts for Blast. Vitek said that he added additional effects. And that's what I think these funny little white glow is. It doesn't really match up with Ash, but it's a cool little feature to show that it's an ultimate art coming at you at 500 miles an hour. You better press that shift WASD, otherwise you're pretty much dead. So if you do notice the spacing on my map from the earlier islands, aka Frostmail, Dawn Island, Jaws, Palo Town, versus the later islands, you can see the later islands are a lot more spaced out. And Vtex has actually said this somewhere, I forgot where, but he said that the smaller islands usually only take like a minute or so to sail to at the beginning of the game, so you don't have to row like 2 minutes just to get to Jaws or Frostmail. But later on, you're gonna have to sail a bit and have to fight some pirates, especially when you're going to Ravenna, because there's a long distance there, to more like appreciate ship. Here you can see, while she's on Palo Town, you can see the number of islands around her. There's a lot of islands, and they're pretty large too. This is basically what I used to make my map. I used the Razna quest marker, and while she's on different islands, I basically just tracked it around. And if you didn't notice, when Soleil was running through Palo Town, you can actually see the Alchemist, which is the second Alchemist we've ever seen, the first one being the one at Redwake. It's just the same thing. I think the glow is really cool though. Oh yeah, in case you didn't know, you can actually now disenchant items at the Alchemist. Very nice addition. Finally, we can take gambling to a whole other level. During her fight with the rival on Harvest Island, yes, this is Harvest Island, you can tell by the, you can tell it's Harvest Island because it's Harvest Island. You can see here, Striking Gale's new effects, they look really cool. And Striking Gale is one out of 3 or 4 effects that makes a tornado shape weapon skills, so I'm excited to see what the other weapon skills look like if Striking Gale looks this cool. And also during the fight, a lot of you've probably heard this and not know what it is. It's a bone crack. If you take 5% or more of your health in one hit that isn't from magic, then you have a low chance of making a noise. I think it's really funny. It's really hilarious when she's just slowly backing up and then there's just a the shockwave attack on magics is freaking cracked. Look how far it reaches here. She's like halfway across the freaking island and she just goes wow. And if you don't know, there's this clip on Patreon that shows ice magic visuals. The shockwave is huge. I think it might be because they were playing around with magic size back when the ultimates were first released, but it's really big. So like I think shockwave is definitely going to be a very useful spell. Sphere explosion is probably the least useful spell. As self explosions, it's probably the best for playstyle, and then pillars as well are good because of their insane height reach both below and above you. This was noticed by I think someone on the forums, right here. They noticed that the Soleil's Iron Leg Mentor, he has mouth animations, which is something that VTEX added a while back. But I think they're just really cool. It's not very intruding, it's just a nice immersiveness to the game. You can see their mouth slightly moves, and yeah, I think it's interesting and very cool. And along with the mouth animations, you might, if you stay on track with the Trello patch notes, you can see, you might remember that VTEX said that he added bobbing animations. Now, I thought this was like Minecraft where your camera bobs up and down, but it's actually for the player and not the camera. I mean, kind of makes sense because in Minecraft you're always in first person. Here you can see that Soleil character kind of bobs up and down when they kind of bob up and down while walking, just like in real life. And really cool immersiveness. Hard to notice when you're actually playing the game, but when you're just relaxing and stuff, it's just a really nice thing to see and just adds a lot more to layers of Arcane Odyssey. On this clip specifically, I've seen many people think it's a trailer, or sorry, not a trailer. I've seen many people think that this is a cutscene. It's not a cutscene. It's just a tester's cinematic camera. Like, I want something like this in Arcane Odyssey. Yet I want something like this for normal players. I mean, not like a free cam. But you know, in Breath of the Wild, you have the Sheikah Slate. You're able to go into the Sheikah Slate camera mode and do like a zoom in first person, right? I think that would be really cool for either a gadget or just something that comes naturally. So you can take really cool pictures without the player's character intruding. And I also want the third person thing. And then I want like the Genshin Impact's third person camera gadget where you can like move it slightly to the left or right so your character isn't splat in the middle. Like a combination of both of those for a camera gadget would be really cool. And also when she jumps into the water, you can see a shark. And I also noticed in the chat here, the joins and leaves are different colors. Not like in World of Magic where they're all the same tint of blue and you have no idea who the heck is joining. But also it states the username instead of both the username and the character name. So now it's just the username has left or has joined, and the leaving message is red. And I think that's, again, another small thing that doesn't have to be in the game, but it's in the game and it's so cool and like builds up all the layers and crazy. You also might have noticed on the right here, on the top right, the player list, they have these funny little symbols next to their names. Now, these are the symbols for their titles. So if you may have known, there's a lot more titles in Arcane Odyssey that you can get from maybe badges or being one of like the top renowned players. You can see here, so Soleil Furthership is using the Guardian of the Sea title, as you can see right above her level. That gives the shield one. And then you have Crimson and Purple Dragon, no idea who that is. But so I think that's the Warlord of the Sea, purple, or Most Wanted, and then Crimson has like the Monarch or whatever. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, interesting. And then, of course, the execution.
Your island is real.
Can we get much higher? That brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed and hope you have come to appreciate Arcane Odyssey more with all these little features and yeah, stay tuned for more Arcane Odyssey oh my god. Stay tuned for more Arcane Odyssey analysis videos. Finally got it. Let's go. English grammars. And yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Bro, listen to my computer fan, man. I don't think MacBooks are supposed to sound like that. It's probably gonna explode soon.